Now, what a couple of months it has been for my next guest, Kevin Cronin, the Kingdom Warrior. You might remember the last time we had him on, we were preparing, of course, I said we, obviously he was preparing, I suppose we weren't preparing for Kevin. You were, for a shot at the Celtic light heavyweight title with highly rated Limerick boxer, of course, Jamie Morrissey. And I suppose he's had a couple of setbacks since then, but like all great champions, has got back on his feet again. And having overcome the Spanish-based Nicaraguan Santo Moderno only a fortnight ago, he's earned himself a shot at the Irish super middleweight title. All fierce exciting stuff, Kevin, you know, when you talk about titles and winning and moving on the whole lot. But let's go back a little bit. Last time you were inside here, we were preparing for the Morrissey fight. That has come and gone, and that whole saga and event kind of carried itself. You went up, you fought very, very well the first night in Belfast. I personally thought that you'd done enough to go away with the win. How disappointing was that at that particular moment when, I suppose, the hand doesn't go up?
Yeah, it was a bit of a kick in the gut, you know. It was a lot of hard nights and days put in for that fight. You know, we trained like crazy. You know, I hardly seen my family. You know, hardly seen my girlfriend either. She'd come home from work. I was going out the door to go to Dublin or go train somewhere else. You know, I had no life, you know. So, put everything into that, and then to go up there and put on an absolute classic. You know, there was I don't ever remember a fight on the island, you know, being as dramatic and as as a war like that one. And
it was a war. I mean, most of us go out in the box and they kind of step back. But I mean, from the word go, you both went at it. You finished very, very strong. He probably started off at 100 miles an hour, but he kind of burnt himself out, I felt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a great fight. I think it was the first 3 rounds. Yeah, the first round he started. I think he caught me with a right hand, and I think he might have just thought I was hurt or something, and he was trying to take me out. Then, so the second round he was all guns blazing. Third round he was starting to dip a small bit, and we copped it in the corner, obviously, and they were just saying, John, just time to step on the gas now and put the pressure on, and we did that, you know, and thought we outclassed him from there. But look, it's the judge, the referee didn't see it that way anyway.
Yeah. And of course that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about putting the hand up. Of course, but you did get a rematch down to Galway, and I suppose another kind of epic fight in a sense. Rare enough that these fights end in draws.
Yeah, very rare. I think there's just something about me and Jamie clashing. You know, everyone wants. I'd say if you put it on 10 times, it'd sell out a venue 10 times, because, like as I said, go back to Belfast. It's one of the best. That was probably one of the best wars that's happened in a boxing ring in this island, you know, over 8 rounds. And they said, let's do it again over 10 rounds. And I accepted the offer straight away. And obviously it was on television and everything, so it was a brilliant offer. But no one expected it to be a war again. It never happens twice really like that. But I think it was a bit of a smarter war, you know. It was more of a tactical war.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose you had measured yourselves at that stage. I mean, you probably both knew an awful lot more about yourselves from those rounds. Those 2 fights, though, while you didn't get across the line, they certainly rose your profile.
Yeah, 100%. Look, as I said, obviously I thought I'd done enough in the first fight. Definitely felt hard done by in the second fight. You know, the second fight was again a great fight, but like that, after 3 rounds, I think I dominated, and fight could have even been stopped in the later rounds, you know. But again, it is what it is. It was called the draw.
And he hung on.
Yeah, again, another camp that everything was put into, you know. And
the I suppose people listening tonight will say, sure, it was a fight and it was only just one evening and the whole lot. But of course, it's not one evening. I mean, you're talking about the build up to it. In actual time, how much time goes into preparing for one fight? You're talking about training camps and going away and the whole lot, but realistic time, and you have to balance work as well, which is hugely incredible to do that. But give us a week of what Kevin Cronin does. I mean, everything from what you eat to kind of what you sleep. I suppose you must get rest and train and.
Yeah, well, like when you're talking how long it takes to prepare for something like that, you know, a camp is basically just adjusting for what's coming, you know, adjusting to the opponents in front of you, adjusting to the rounds. Realistically, you know, I've been preparing for that since the day I stepped into a boxing club, like, you know, so you know, that's a lifetime of training's just gone in for that one moment, you know. So it's a lot more than just a training camp. A training camp is really just to prime you up for do specific things to in specific ways for
so it's more
adjustments for that fight. Yeah,
you're fit and ready to
go. It's about adjustments, yeah. But like that, a week the training is set 6 days, twice a day, you know, and then Sundays off. That's really what it is. And yeah, diet is huge thing. And I love my food, so that's the hardest bit, you know. I don't mind pushing myself in the gym, which I think people always see on fight night, you know. With me, my engine's always tip top. You know, I'm always in the best shape possible. But by God, if I could do it eating as much food as possible, I would.
We all could do that. Come here, Kevin. Those two fights, okay, they kind of rose the profile. We didn't get a win, but I mean, like, you've got an incredible legion of fans, an awful lot of kind of neutrals as well, seeing you probably fighting for the first time and saying, God, he was kind of hard done by, or he should have won. And I suppose the name now goes out in a bigger circle and people are probably more aware of you, because your build up to those fights, it was broken up with COVID, and I mean, there was a fight and it was cancelled and the whole lot, but all of a sudden the fights are beginning to come at huge regularity, and of course along come your Nicaragua in Santo Maderno. What was the build up to that fight like?
Yeah, obviously look at training camp. I trained as hard. I trained as hard for him as I did for the Jamie Morrissey fights. It was obviously going to be a lot of questions on our behalf. Moving down a weight class. A lot of people weren't even expecting me to make weight. Like, they thought I was crazy going down to the weight. But I ended up even weighing lighter than Santos at the weigh-ins, you know, and but you could see.
What weight would that be? What's the actual?
168 pounds. 168 pounds. I think I came about half a kilo under.
Wow.
Yeah, but like that, we didn't know how I'd actually get. Well, I was obviously confident in myself, you know, but it was a tough weight cut. The refuel was going to be
so
very important.
When you go down a weight, logically you lose a little bit more power, should you, or does that happen?
No, there was just another one of the questions. Like, will I bring the power down? Will I gain a bit more power? Not so much gain power, but keep the power, and my resistance might come into play a bit, and I could actually be hitting a lot harder down here, which I find I am. You know, like Santos the last day, technically he's not great. I don't think he was ever going to beat me, but like that, he's one of the toughest guys, to be honest with you, in the world.
Mm-hmm. He was able to take the shots.
Like, he's fought some of the best guys in the world. He's fought world champions, and he's taken them the distance. I was the fourth Irish guy he fought, one of them being a world champion, and Padraig McCrory, light heavyweight, who knocks everyone out, you know, and he brought him to 6 as well. And that was our question with the power answered there. I was the first Irishman to stop him, Joe. I'm one of the only people out there to stop him, to do it in that fashion. Like, you know, I blitzed him from the get-go. And I think we answered another question is, a lot of people, I think, would have been preparing for me as a slow starter because of the two Jamie Morrissey fights, whereas I knew in my own head, I was questioning. I had no reason to question my tank, but up at light heavyweight, I was in my head all the time. I'm carrying pounds that I don't think I need, you know, and maybe I'll gas if I go too fast. And I always regretted that in the later rounds because my engine's great, you know. But I started that fight fast, and I just kept that pace for 3 rounds the last day. And look, he clearly couldn't take any more. And I just see on Irish boxing, it was up. It was the longest run of punches in a fight before it was stopped, you know. So I don't even know how many punches landed. There must have been 30 punches landed, you know, and I think it's about 8 or 9 unresponded punches that to wave off a fight. But as I was saying, it was all questions with the refuel, and my strength and conditioning coach and nutritionist Peter Donoghue was kind of over that, you know. He was by my side, he was prepping my food, you know. He had everything on the ball. The weight cut was tough. He was there. He was giving me the right amount of things at the right amount of time and everything like that to do it.
And the weight cut that you're on about, I mean, obviously people see it on television, and you stand there and you stand on the kilo and everybody looks down, they say, yeah, he's made it, or he's a pound over, whatever it is. Do you know ahead of time, when you're doing it in your bedroom or whatever, you know, that we should be good enough, or are you looking at it in the morning and saying, God, I still have to lose another bit, I have to run around the yard a few times? I mean, how close do boxers get to kind of knowing and not knowing?
It's a tricky one. It's a lot of mathematics involved in it, which is what I leave to Peter. He gives me the plan at the start of fight week. We go off of what weight I'm coming into fight week at, which could be 6 kilos over, 7 kilos over the fight weight, you know, and then we'll go off that. We'll be doing our water cut. Obviously the food's going to be chopped away down to eventually nothing, like, you know. But the water, it's all the water weight, and you'll gauge it throughout the week. But it's hard to gauge. You could very, very easily slip up and come in half a kilo or a kilo over.
So are you talking in terms that, God, I might just drink the wrong bottle of water at the wrong time, and that might be...
Yeah, like even just to say the day beforehand, when you're checking the weight, you could panic, you know, and you have to stop drinking water at a certain time. You know, you can only drink a certain amount of water in a day, and like all that has to be measured. If you go over by 70 millilitres, like, you know, that could be the difference in 0.2 or 3 in the scales, and that's you missing weight, and that's the title off the line, you know. So it's
remarkable, and I suppose we're talking about it because it's the other side of boxing. Everybody thinks it's just we get in the ring and we go and land as many punches as you can, but obviously there's this side to it as well, and there's the training side, and we're talking about the family side as well in the moment, and there's also the work side and the balance in that, and we'll talk about the work side after this break. Now, welcome back to Terrace Talk. Donal Barry in the chair this evening, and of course we're talking to Milltown boxer Kevin Cronin, of course, who is the Kingdom Warrior. Actually, it's a funny thing, we never asked you that. Why the Kingdom Warrior?
Who
thought of that?
It was actually, I was away boxing with the Munster team a couple of years ago in the amateurs, and we were boxing in this box cup in London, and there's a guy, Martin Keenan from Limerick, but he was the Irish heavyweight champion in the amateurs, but it was actually him who started it. Yeah, we were over there and he just started shouting, "Come on, the Kingdom Warrior." I don't even know where he pulled it from. It ended up sticking with him anytime he met me. It was the Kingdom Warrior, and that started sticking with other people then when you're going away in them types of trips, and it just stuck. It sounded good too, so I just said I keep it.
You'll be as famous the Gooch with his nickname. I mean, all good people have it, but the Kingdom Warrior, it's a great name. It's a good title. It looks well as well. Another thing that has swelled as well is your support. I see the pictures on the Facebook. You're gone from people going in cars to minibuses to maybe bigger minibuses. It must be great to know that people are, I suppose every boxer has their kind of unique family support, but I see my friends down there in Jimmy O'Brien's, they've gone kind of full blown support at this stage for you, which is great to see, and it's great for them to rustle up people, but to see them getting in cars and buses and going to fights, that must be really warm.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I never expected to have the support that I do, to be honest with you. Even coming into now the first few fights, I would have known everyone that's at my fights. Whereas I think you could say the two Jamie Morrissey fights changed everything. And you could, I don't know if you could hear it from watching it live the last day, but like it was hectic out there the last day. And it's kind of come to after the first Jamie fight, he came to Galway, and then I wouldn't know half the people that were there. And then in Cork again the last day, there's more people. I wouldn't have a clue who they are. Obviously I get to know them and then I know them, but then it just seems to be growing and more people are showing up, and as you say, there's buses going, and it's no longer just my family and friends, like, it's everyone really. It is crazy, and it's a good loud bunch to follow as well, and
it's a great sign. I mean, it's a sign that people are respecting, first of all, what you're doing, really appreciating the effort that you're making, and probably getting on a journey that was what boxing, we don't know where these journeys end, but I mean, it looks like a good long journey, and people are getting on at a good time to follow you, and that brings us up, of course, because you have a shot at is it the Irish super middleweight?
Yeah, the super middleweight Irish title.
Yeah, wow. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so obviously I fought Jamie and drew with him for the Irish light heavy. We won't go into that, the decision and all that, but it was a draw in the finish.
Just to put it in football terms, it was an umpire not doing his job.
Yeah, a couple of umpires not doing their jobs.
Yeah, they didn't put the white flag up when they should have put it up. But we've moved on from there now. We've moved on. But I mean, you're setting your sights on something new, exciting. Like I said, you've beaten Santa Maderno on the build up to this fight, and it's like you said, you've outlined how tough a fighter he was and how few times Irish fighters have been able to get past him. But talk to us about the title fight. I suppose, are you excited and all that? Yeah,
look, of course I'm excited. It got after that Jamie fight, I announced I'm moving to super middleweight. The Boxing Union of Ireland put out there, if I can successfully beat Santos in my first super middleweight fight, they'll look into sanctioning me versus Craig, the super middleweight Celtic champion, for the Irish title. And obviously that was a bit of excitement for me. But I couldn't look past what was in front of me, so I had to keep training for that. And then after the fight the last day, Craig hopped into the ring. He went a bit away with the fairies. He grabbed the microphone and started talking, and it was fine to start. He was talking about whatever, good fight and all that, but then he started muttering on a bit, about there's no getting past him. So I did have to put him in his place a little bit. But it's the Boxing Union of Ireland came out that night, tweeted out then that's it, they've sanctioned it. So that's what's next. 10 rounds for the Irish title again.
And of course the Craig is Craig McCarthy run about, of course, and he's, I suppose, the current champion. But 10 rounds, I mean, that's a big jump up from the 6, even though you fought 3.
Yeah, well, it was just, there was 6 the last day. It was 3 rounds, obviously, but the fight before that was 10 rounds at light heavyweight. And to be honest with you, I was questioning. I got to give props to Craig. I didn't think he'd take the fight. I don't think there'll be many take the fight, looking at how the Jamie fight went down the stretch in the 10 rounds. I knew how it was going to go down the stretch in the 10 rounds, because I know what I can do in 10 rounds, and I know I can do it a lot better down at a more comfortable weight for me now. Because
the way you do fighting, and like you said, you started 100 miles an hour yourself the last night, but you finish very strong. I mean, you kind of, I won't say give up the first couple, but it takes a while to get going. But round 3, 4, 5, 6, you really begin to take control, and you seem to finish very, very strongly.
Yeah, but the thing about going down to super middleweight is I now feel more comfortable starting fast, which is what I showed the last day. So now it's going to be gone from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, So that's the plan, and I know I can go all day. I could do 12 rounds at that pace with a good camp. The right adjustments. Obviously, Craig's southpaw. He's a big guy for the super middleweight division as well. I'm a small bit taller than him, but I'm an awful size for super middleweight. He is a big super middleweight, and I'd say, I seen in the ring there in front of me last day, he looked like he was about 90 kilos. He's a big bloke like John. He can bang, but like that, I know I'm better than him. And yeah, he's made it a war of words. Obviously, something I'm not too keen on, but. Look, it is what it is. You got to adjust. You got to adjust to what's in front of you.
You come across as a very quiet, modest fella, but I presume the way boxing goes, you probably have to find that little side show as well. Where
well, look, I'm happy to go through a camp if I never spoke one word with my opponent, but at the same time, I'm not going to let him step on my toes, and chat whatever he's chatting on social media. So you got to stand your ground too, and can't let people walk over you. But look, at the end of the day,
and of course the boxing world, like every other sporting world, it's gone onto the social media side of things now. Before, you'd probably just have a few banter words against you probably wouldn't meet, but of course, sure, you could take yourselves all night long on social media and the whole lot. But of course, for your perspective, it's standing your ground, it's standing up for what you respect. You deserve to be where you are. You fought very hard to get here, and I suppose it's just looking for respect. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, it's the title. That's all I care about. I don't care what else is going on. I don't care what Craig's saying, anything like that. I win this title, I have my top 15 European ranking. That's what I want. I've said it long enough. I'm going chasing down that European title, and it starts here. I'm straight into the top 15 when I win this title. And
of course, that's how important the Irish title is. It is a ticket to the Europeans.
Yeah, you see, it's the Irish title is a lot bigger than other nations' titles. It can give you that ranking. That's because of the quality of fighters in Ireland, and I think that goes to show the level I'm at. Even at high heavyweight, shouldn't have been there. But I was still nearly the Irish champion. Probably should be the Irish champion in it, But now I get the chance to do it. Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
But now I get the chance to do it here. One fight into super middleweight, and I'm already jumping in with the champion. It's showing that I don't care who's put in front of me. There's no one else doing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, look, I like Craig. He is a good guy. But at the end of the day, I just think I'm going to be too much for him. And there's a lot of people saying different, but I do think I'm going to be way too much for him. And I think I'll blitz him, to be honest with you, especially down here at super middleweight.
Fair play to you. My God almighty. You could nearly give a team talk in a jail room. Yourself and John O'Dowd, two great team talks now. Come here, something else away from boxing, but it's still a fight, and of course you are a fireman. Are you stationed in Tralee, is it?
Yeah, I'm based in Tralee.
Yeah. A lot of news lately about the whole fire, and I see them in the news marching in and out of unions and the whole lot and the strike. Talk to us a little bit about that fight and how important that is for you, obviously, and you know how you control a little bit more light in that, I suppose, through your social media and your media side. But for people listening tonight, what's that battle about? What's that fight about?
Yeah, so like obviously my job as a firefighter is something I always tried to kind of keep off my social media and all that. I never tried using my job or anything for publicity, you could say. But yeah, it's like I'm in the fire brigade 4 years. There's guys there, 20 plus years that have been fighting since the day they got in. I think it's 2001 is when they started fighting, but nothing's happened. Like they've only started gaining ground recently, and obviously with the strikes and all, and I think people looking in are probably thinking they're fighting for money all of a sudden. But there was just no noise made really until recently. But yeah, like it's just people don't see the side to a firefighter. I suppose it's like all jobs. We don't appreciate firemen until they come out and put the chimney fire out for us, or you come to a disaster, or you need it for a road accident. Yeah, but like that's what kind of when you see the firemen. But at the same time, outside of even being out with a call, you have to be within 5 minutes of the station. So I can't leave Tralee. I'm not from Tralee. I rarely see my family. I see them at the fight for the first time in probably 2 months.
Wow.
Like even Christmas, the last 4 Christmases, I've sat at home alone in Tralee because I have to be within 5 minutes. Like obviously me and my girlfriend moved into Tralee, but I wouldn't make her stay in Tralee on Christmas Day. Just sitting there alone with me. I couldn't do that, so that's what I have to do. Just sit there, and that's just me from my perspective. Mm-hmm. There's families, there's guys there have children, so like the pager goes off, they have to get the children to the mother. So again, it's not just the firefighter, it's the mother that she can't go shopping. She can't do anything like that without taking the children, because the husband, or even if it's the opposite way around, maybe if the wife's the firefighter, the partner has to be there the whole time or within a certain distance to get the children to them, because they have to go. And when the pager goes, you have to go. It's nothing else. So it's,
and of course,
it's a family thing.
It's unique tonight because a lot of people, while they might know firefighters, neighbours, the whole lot, they probably don't fully appreciate the story and particularly the story of what you're fighting for and deservedly fighting for, and trying to change it as well. And listen, that's one fight that we certainly wish you all the very best to luck with, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're Kerry, you're Galway, or it doesn't really matter. It's an Irish fight, that is.
Yeah, 100%. And look, obviously it's something, as I say, I try not to get too much into, but obviously I'm going to push this one a bit as well on my social media with the last few weeks, because like it's something that really needs to change, and it's just a bit crazy, because even recently, you see where a lot of money is going. Going missing, supposedly can't be seen going places.
Myself and Ivan are getting well paid.
But like then to turn around and say there isn't money there to fill the fire stations with more staff, so you can have a day off with your child every 2 weeks. Obviously, look, I don't have a child. I haven't seen that side of it yet. Obviously, look, I have no life anyway with boxing, but that's my choice. Mm-hmm. And I've only kind of, since the last fight, it's the first break I've really had, and I've had a rest now for 2 weeks, and I've really, really felt this is the first time I've sat back and seen this is crazy, because obviously everything with me is strict anyway. Mm-hmm. But in the last 2 weeks, I can't see how the other guys are doing it with children and everything. It's something really needs to change there.
Yeah, well listen, we certainly wish you the very best of luck on that fight, and of course we wish you the very best of luck with the Craig McCarthy fight, and of course we had no time to talk about the venue or the time or where it's going to be, but it's certainly going to be in the calendar. It's certainly something that we're certainly not going to miss, and we wish you the very, very best of luck. It's great to have you on again, Kevin. I have to say, every night you come on, has the hair colour changed a small bit?
I'm going grey from all the boxing.
Oh, geez, yeah. Certainly changing every time we come in a different
It's
haircut.
a bit brighter during the summer.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a summertime haircut. But listen, we wish you the very best. Looking at, of course, is Kevin Cronin, the
Thanks
Kingdom
very much.
Warrior, named after by a Limerick man. We'll have to drill down that a little bit more as well.